pick on the road for Super Bowl 50. Deion Sanders in the house. Who's better than us? All right, let's pick up where we left off. We were talking about the criticism of Cam. Riveting conversation by the three of you. Stephen A., you had something you wanted to add to that conversation.
Well, we're talking about the criticism of Cam and what some of the reasons are for it. I think we have to understand that somebody like Cam epitomizes a younger generation challenging America to live up to what it claims to be. We're supposed to be a gorgeous mosaic. We embrace everything. Yet, the minute something different comes in our face, we want to dictate how they're supposed to be and why. And so when you have that, obviously, we live in a society where it's incredibly wise to tell a younger generation of folks that what you need to monitor is that you don't get to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, while you got your hand out for somebody else's money. You're going to have to capitulate to something. We get that part. But what Cam is saying is, once I've capitulated, now what's your problem? I ain't getting in trouble off the field. I'm not giving the brand, the Shield, a bad name. I'm winning on the football field. I'm showing up to work on time. I'm being the leader I'm supposed to be. I'm doing positive things into the community. And now you still got something to complain about? We're not having that. Now, the letter that you keep bringing up, and you're saying that's all you're aware of. One of the things, Prime, I said to Skip the other day, think about what Cam went through at Florida, to the junior college,
His
to
father
Auburn,
talked about that yesterday.
to Auburn before he won the Heisman. Think about winning the Heisman and his daddy wasn't allowed to be there. Think about winning the national championship and his daddy wasn't allowed to be there. Think about the compilation of experiences that he had, albeit some would argue self-inflicted. Nevertheless, he went through a lot. Do you really think that on the road to this, that no one said anything about Cam? Emails, walking down the street, being in a restaurant, being with your friends. You really, really think that vitriol and venom is something that he hasn't experienced? Granted, it may not be now, but he was never on the podium on a Super Bowl week until now. So what did he say the other day? I always craved, and I always want, I'm paraphrasing, I always craved, I always wanted the opportunity to be in a place or on a platform where I could speak and I would have influence. That's what he said. Well, why would he say that? You know why? Because there's a lot for him to say, because there's a lot that he feels, and it doesn't necessarily show itself because of a letter from some woman at a Tennessee game who happened to have a 9-year-old. It goes far, far, far deeper than that.
Okay, let's go back to Deion. Here was a trailblazer when you came out of Florida State. You were an Atlanta Falcon. We all know Atlanta has a great black community, but it's still in the South. And again, your first couple of years, boy, you were prancing and dancing when you picked balls off, and it was a little new. I'm not saying that it had never before been seen, but did you feel any backlash from the white community in Atlanta or the NFL over your celebrations?
Let me mention, I've been high-stepping since '74.
Got it. Yeah.
Just because the world got a chance to glimpse this on a larger stage, I wasn't going to change. And this is real, Stephen A., and this might hit you. I expected to be criticized by a certain community. Mind you, I chose Atlanta although seemingly they chose me. I told several football teams that was drafting prior, I'm playing baseball. Don't even do this. Because I had gone to Atlanta on an All-American trip and seen African-American doctors, lawyers, chief of police, mayors. I had never seen that before coming from Florida. And it blew my mind that African-American people had these type of statuses, living in these type of homes, and were well respected.
By the way, so you grew up in Fort Myers, Florida.
Yes, I wanted to be in Atlanta.
Yep.
So going to Atlanta is where I wanted to be. My biggest criticism and the most painful things that I endured came from a brother.
That's right.
That's what hurt me the most. I expected when I picked up the newspaper and read something idiotic for it to come from someone else. But when it came from the pen of a brother that I would have thought, that would have understood, the reason I was adorning myself with all these chains was because every dope dealer had credibility and respect at the crib. This is what they were embodying. All the kids looked up to them, so I was wearing this saying, you don't have to sell no dope. You can keep it 100 and do it my way and get out of the same struggle. Even attacked nationally by Spike Lee, and I took offense because instead of him shooting a bullet at me on the cover of Sports Illustrated, called me, because there's always a method to my madness. I'm always delivering some type of message, although it may be confusing. But call me. Don't take a shot at me national.
What was his specific criticism?
Look at this fool or something on the cover of Sports Illustrated with all, you know.
Well, you bring that up because doing what you do, Skip, sitting across from you every day, what's the number one thing you and I complain about when we talk about black athletes that may have a problem with us? It's two things, actually. Number one, that the rules that are applicable to the industry, they want you to forget because it applies to you. They want you to compromise yours, not all, not most, but far too many. They want you to compromise yourself, your job description, to appease them because you're a brother. So, Dion, Prime Time, myself, we're sitting there saying, well, wait a minute here. Fair is fair. And not only that, it's not about telling you just what's going on. It's about letting you recognize and illuminating the game for you to understand that there's a level of capitulation and, you know, decorum and everything else and conformity that you have to apply to yourself just like anybody else would. That's point number one. Point number two, and more importantly, one of the things that I consistently say to you, Skip, which is why I don't give a damn who it is, what professional athlete it is, why I'm merciless in this. There ain't a locker room in the sport of the National Basketball Association or the National Football League where somebody in there don't have my number. I make sure that accessibility is there, because if you really, really want to talk to me, I'm not hard to find. But you run and you hide. Then you look on television, you see Prime, you see me. You got a problem with what we had to say, but you made no effort. A matter of fact, you listen to somebody else, by the way, usually who doesn't look like us, who's influencing you, that you don't want to reach out to us and make sure that you get your perspective put out there. But then when we put the perspective out there, you'll literally attack. So when Spike Lee offended him, what did Dion just say? Call me, because you have access to reach me before you said what you said. Whereas today's athlete runs and hides.
I don't know how many times he's called me and said, Prime, do you have such and such number? I need to reach out to him. And he's done it. And I've given him the number. If he's given me a number, we call him.
Okay, just briefly, did you resolve with Spike after that?
No.
Okay.
No, and I'm glad I matured, because it would have ended in another way, because I was ignorant back then. You know, I really was ignorant back then. I wasn't playing no games back then. So
we all grow.
Yeah, we all grow, thank God.
Yes, every day.
But that bothers us the most, Skip. That well really said. Does. It bothers us the most.
They hide and they blame, and it's really, really a problem in our community, because you sit there and you look at guys like myself, him, others. We give you access before we say a word, and others encourage you to hide. But then after you hide, you got a problem with what's said.
And it's not a racial thing.
And it's not a racial thing.
I've reached out to Johnny Manziel.
So have I.
Call me. I need Johnny's number.
And so have I.
Perfect. You teed it up for me, because we're going to get into that right when we come back after the break. You talk about a gorgeous mosaic. That's what our crowd is, and we appreciate all of you. Gorgeous mosaic up here, too. These guys reach everybody, and we absolutely love that. This was an important conversation we just had, and the Johnny Manziel one next is going to be as well. Prime has a strong take. More details. We're going to get into it. First take from Super Bowl 50. Please stay with us.